Good morning, you guys. Welcome. It is December 1st, and we are live in the studio. This is Sister's Heart, and I'm your host. I'm your girl. I'm your sister. This is Kim B, and I'm excited about today, you all. It is December 1st. December 1st in the studio, and it is just an amazing day. This is a good day, as my girlfriend likes to say. This is a God kind of day, and it truly is the day that the Lord has made, and we ought to rejoice and be glad in it. And I'm glad in it. I mean, we're talking about, you guys, it is December 1st. Well, it's the first Sunday in December, so technically December 2nd, but it's the first Sunday in December. And we talk about a year that is gone. We are on the cusp of 2019, and I don't know about you, but I'm getting momentum. I'm gaining my momentum, and I'm excited about it because I recognize, and many of us recognize it, right? This is Sister's Heart, and of course, we stream live every week, www.intellectualradio.com, via iHeartRadio. We do the Facebook Live. You can always catch us in our archives again, www.intellectualradio.com, and you can also catch us on YouTube. So for those of you that follow Sister Heart, you know that, our goal for this year is to gain momentum, because we're coming out of 2018. And so often when we think about, where we're at and where we've been and what we've been doing and what we've been able to accomplish, it may not necessarily be everything that we have wanted it to be. Situations that you find yourself in right now may not necessarily be ideal. And let's just be honest, right? Can we just be honest? You're kind of like, Lord, just hurry up and let 2018 be over so that I can go ahead and get into 2019. And some folks are just right there, like, just let this hurry up and be over. But how many of us know, when we think about, Lord, just hurry up and let this be over, there's some things that have to take place with regards to finishing things and handling our business. And those of you that are following us via Facebook, thank you so much. I love you guys. God bless you all this morning. So for those of us that are in that mode, I want to encourage you today. So like I said, if you're following us on Facebook, then you already know the title, because I do post it. You already know the thought, because I want to pique your interest. I want you to get your mojo working with regards to the word that the Lord has given me this day for his people. And I'm excited about this word today, you guys, because realistically, like I said, if we're trying to hurry up and rush 2018, just let it be over. Let me hurry up and get to tax season so I can get my money right. Let me hurry up and get to next year because I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. Those are those people that operate in that woulda, coulda, shoulda. And realistically, unless you change your mind here, your 2019 will look just like your 2018. So my thought on today is, to tie up your loose ends. Tie up your loose ends. Oh my God. Tie up your loose ends. Finish what God said is finished. So often we are walking around here, you guys, with some unfinished business. And I'm talking about some things that we got to let go of, and we got to let go of it now. Some of us have been talking all year long about our haters. We've been focusing on who hasn't helped us and what someone has done to us. And, we're angry and we're bitter. And I'm telling you right now, holding on to that kind of animosity, when we think that we've let it go, I'm going to tell you how you know you haven't let it go. If you're still talking about what happened to you in January of this year, if you're still talking about what happened in June of this year or July, if you're still talking about what somebody did to you, then you have what's called some unfinished business, and you need to tie up your loose ends, because watch this. Your haters are not your problem. Your haters are not your problem. I got that from Pastor Marilyn this week. Your haters are not your problem. And we're putting too much energy and too much of our time and too much of our thought process into those things and into those people that, guess what, serve us no purpose. They're not helping us. They're not helping you to grow. They're not helping to develop you. And quite honestly, they're just taking up space. They're occupying space where they should not. And those are those things that are unfinished business. Those are those loose ends that needs to be tightened up. You need to get that stuff straightened out now. Don't carry that stuff over with you in 2019. And I'm telling you this from experience. Let go of that hurt and let go of that pain. My haters and my fake friends and my doubters. We've been talking about these people all year long. When you look on social media, we're talking about the naysayers. We're talking about the backbiters. We're talking about the liars that always lying. We're talking about the outer circle. And I'm telling you right now, I'm so focused on what it is that I want for 2019. I had a conversation the other day with my daughter, and I told her, I said, if you don't get your mind right, I'm going to tell you what I said. I said, if you don't get your mind right, I promise you I'm going to leave you in 2018. I said, my energy is on a level that, guess what? I'm going to have what God said I can have. And I'm not going to get there. And I'm not going to have what God said I can have if I'm always focusing and allowing negativity to come my way and to violate my peace. And that's not a position or a posture that God wants us to have. You're surrounding yourself. I call them with a bunch of punks that don't know how to pray. We've been surrounding ourselves with these kind of people all year long. We've been surrounding ourselves with the negative Nancys. And these people, these type of people are nothing more than loose ends. You worried about them. You focused on them long enough. You've talked about them long enough. In your new year, your opportunity to be a new year is here. It is upon you. And it is time to tie up those loose ends. Leave the past in the past. I said last week, we were talking about Joseph, and we were talking about the dreams that God had given him. And his dreams were nothing more than visions of things to come and who he was going to be, and how those dreams did not die when he was in the pit. How his purpose did not change. And what he was going through did not change God's mind about how he was going to use him. So watch this. You got to leave those things behind you, and you have to be persuaded that nothing is going to separate you from the love of God. Nothing is going to keep you from having what God would have for you. So now, while you're trying to get your mind focused on the new year, separate yourself from folks that don't mean you no good. Separate yourself from them right now. Listen, right now, tie up those loose ends. You've been with some relationships, hanging on to people because guess what? This is all you know. This is your BFF, and you don't really like them and they don't really like you, but y'all just hanging on to each other and all that negative energy. Guess what? She can't be her best self. You can't be your best self. Why? Because y'all trying to make a click out of what God is telling you to let go of. Tie up that loose end. Finish what God has already said is finished. Finish what God has already said is vomit. The word, that's the word. Now, listen, that's the word. Talking about a dog returning back to his vomit. It also talks about, it reference a hog, a pig that when it's clean will return back to dirt. A lot of us, this is what we're doing. And we're doing this not just in the spirit, but we're doing this in the natural. We're returning back to those things that are not good. It's like, who raised you? At what point do you say that I'm going to go? And I guarantee you, when you go, when you make it up in your mind to go, it may feel as though you are by yourself, but realistically, you're just moving yourself into position to get where God will have you to be, because your provision isn't in a place that God is no longer blessing. Your provision is not in a territory that God has not called you to be in. Your provision will never be in a place. Watch this. Your provision will never be in a place that God has not called you to. Can I help somebody today? So we understand that, life is going to happen, and we understand that troubles are going to come your way. But watch this. If it comes, let it come, because the word says that it came to pass. So it's not going to stay that way always. And you can't continue to go back to it. You can't continue to regurgitate it. You can't continue to live in that moment of how they did you. Tie up those loose ends. Tie them up so tight that, listen, when I'm done with you, I'm done. When I'm done with you, I'm done. When this conversation is over, you know how we got to be. When this conversation is over, we are finished talking about it. Listen, I'm going to let you have your 5 minutes. I'm going to give you that, because sometimes you got to let people talk about what they want to talk about. You got to hear what people are saying. But all I'm going to give you with regards to this negative energy is no more than 5 minutes. Talk fast, because when these 5 minutes are over, we are going to be done with this conversation. We are going to be done with this negative energy, because I can't carry it over into my tomorrow. I'm not even going to carry it over into my next hour. You don't have time to spend time with folks that aren't going nowhere. Can I say that again? You do not have time to spend time with folks that aren't going nowhere. And watch this. And you ain't got to wait till 2019 to say it, but you can say to yourself, listen, I'm going somewhere. I've got somewhere to be. And I understand that things are going to happen, like I said, and negative things, things that we don't like. We have things that may come up. You may lose a job. You may lose some money. You may fall out with some people. We get all of that. And I'm telling you, and I hear all of that. And I'm not saying that life is going to be perfect, but I tell you this one thing. If you keep your mind stayed on Jesus, if you keep your mind stayed on him, he will keep your mind in perfect peace. And if my mind is in perfect peace, that means I don't have time for no loose ends. If my mind is in perfect peace, then I don't have time for your negative energy. So you need to make that your mantra on today. Guess what? You got 5 minutes. And when these 5 minutes are over, then guess what? What you're talking about is over. You got to make that you really got to make that your banner on today. Put it on your forehead when the negative people come your way. You understand? When they come your way, put it on your forehead and say, listen, this is all you got. I'm going back to that. You got 5 minutes because I'm not going to allow negativity to lower my mental standard. Negativity will lower your mental standard. Have you ever met people and all they do is talk negativity? That's all they bring. That's all they're bringing to the table is nothing negative. Well, how are you doing? Girl, I'm all right, but you see how the atmosphere changes? Girl, what's going on? Girl, you won't believe what they did. You see how your atmosphere changes? Watch that. That's a negative mentality. And that negative mentality will lower your mental mentality. And before you know it, how they say birds of a feather flock together, you are a product of your environment. So if this is all you're taking into your spirit, this is one of those loose ends that need to be tied. If this is all you're surrounding yourself with is negative people. And like I said, it's okay to talk about it, but you only get 5 minutes. And watch this, 5 minutes. We ain't talking about this tomorrow. You get 5 minutes. I don't care who it is, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your best friend, your job, your employer. You get 5 minutes and we're not talking about this tomorrow. And it brings down your mentality. It brings down your mental standard. And we all have to have a mental standard. We all have to have a mental standard. If you do not set a mental standard for yourself, negativity will not know where the boundaries are. Are you hearing me? Negative energy won't know where the boundaries are. Why? Because you haven't set a mental standard for yourself. This is about tying up those loose ends and finishing what God has said is finished. So again, here we are in the last month of this year. And you all know this is a faith-based show. So I'm not going to just give you something and I'm not going to and not apply the word of God with it because it is a faith-based show. And we find in the book of John, the 15th chapter and the 2nd verse. And it says, this is how it reads, okay? Watch this. This is tying up those loose ends. It says, he cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit. Okay? And again, that's John 15:2. It says, he cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that bears fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. Ain't that something? Can I read that again? It says, he cuts off, I love this, every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that bears fruit, he prunes so that it will be even more fruitful. So let me just close with this, right? Let me just close with this. I'm going to close with 2 points, okay? 1, leaving ends loose is like having split ends. It's like having split ends. And any beautician will tell you when you have split ends, they will suggest that you cut those split ends off. And I don't care how far they got to cut. But if you go to a skilled beautician, a master beautician, they will tell you to cut those split ends. And what they're trying to do when they tell you to cut those split ends is they're trying to help your hair to grow. because leaving split ends, watch this, will cause your hair to continue to break off. And it doesn't help it to get better. It gets worse. So the word say, who is the he, right? This was Jesus and he was speaking. It says, cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit. When you think about tying up your loose ends, whatever is not bearing fruit in your life, whatever is not bearing fruit in your situation, whatever is not bringing good to you, it is time for you to cut it off. And a lot of these things God has already cut off. He's already told you it was finished. He's already told you it was done. He's already told you it was over. How did he tell you? Because guess what? How they treated you, how they talked about you, how they lied on you, how they've never been there for you. He's already told you that it was over, but you keep trying to hold on to that branch. So he says, you got to let me cut this off of you because it's bearing you no fruit. And those things that are there that I'm keeping, watch this, I'm going to prune it. So when you go to get those split ends cut off, right? Every time you go to the beautician, watch what she do. She cuts more split ends off. She's pruning your hair, right? And she's pruning your hair so that your hair can continue to grow. And this is what God is doing for us. He prunes us. And there may be some people that joined you, right? They came into your clique. They came into your circle back in February. But guess what? By March, y'all had already fallen out. They had already showed their colors. They had already showed you who they were. Guess what? When someone shows you who they are, believe them. So you were supposed to let them go back in March, but here you are in December and you're still holding on to them thinking that they're going to change. Nothing is going to change about them. The change has to occur with you because you're the one that has the loose end. When you decide to let that go, when you decide to cut that off, when you decide to tie up that loose end, then you can move into your purpose. Then you can move into your destiny. God doesn't want you to carry folks over with you that ain't supposed to be there. Listen, this isn't charity work. This is not charity work. We've all been called to minister to people, but when it comes down to your purpose has nothing to do with charity work. You don't owe anybody you by way of charity. You don't owe anybody you by way of charity. So you got to understand that part, right? So you got to learn to cut them. And then keep pruning, keep going back to your circle, keep going back to those things that you want in your life that's positive, right? I often clean my house, keep a clean house. Amen. To God be the glory. And there's a room in my house. Anybody who's been in my house know there's a room upstairs. It's a bedroom that I call my room. It's my space. And that's the junkiest room in the house. It's the junkiest room in the house. It's junkier really than my basement. And in that room is all my stuff, my shoes and everything. That's my space, right? But here's the catch with regards to, again, the pruning process. It's not enough to just clean my house and leave that room junky, because leaving that room junky means that I still have a mess. And this is how we are, right? We know who isn't supposed to be there. We know that we're not even supposed to be there. Some of us are in places that we are not even supposed to be, but we're still trying to hold on to it because guess what? Don't nobody see that room. Don't nobody see that side. Don't nobody know them like I know them. It's not enough for you to know them. They don't belong to you. They belong to God. And you've got to put people where they're supposed to be. So again, some of us are holding on to those loose ends, and those loose ends are serving us no purpose. They're actually hurting us. They are actually hurting us. And you won't allow God to prune you. You won't allow God to take off of you those things that don't belong to you because you think that it's going to make you less. It's not going to make you less. If you allow me to actually prune you, then I'm going to make you better. I'm not going to take away from you without multiplying you. That's not how God works. That's not how God operates. Oh my God. Can we raise our hand up in here? How many of us have more now than what we had when we actually started? And if you don't have your more, guess what? Keep going. Keep going. Don't stop. Don't stop in the rain or the storm. Don't stop in the middle of the process. Keep going. Don't get mad at your beautician because she clipped your ends. Don't get mad at your beautician. You don't get mad at her when she clips your split ends. You don't get mad at her. Guess what? You keep going back to her because you know that what she's doing for you is helping you. So guess what? That's how God is. We don't stop going back to God because God is pruning us. No, sometimes we don't like it. That's my best friend, Lord. Lord, I love him. Lord, I love her. We've got so much time invested in this. Well, you invested in somebody that God didn't want you to invest in. You spent time with folks that God didn't want you to spend time with. And guess what? You got to get over that. You got to tie up your loose ends. And whatever God says is finished, watch this. Whatever God says is finished, it is finished. You can't change his mind. You cannot change God's mind. When God says it is finished, it is finished. And when God calls it finished, he does it in such a manner. My God, whatever was dead, watch this, in you, not in them, but whatever was dead in you, I guarantee you, when you let go, God will quicken within you a whole new attitude, a whole new disposition. You'll have a whole new walk and a whole new talk. And that's it. Some of us are just afraid to be new. But I'm telling you today, allow God to prune you. Allow him to take you through the process. Allow him to, whatever he says is finished, to let it be finished. Tie up your loose ends. Whatever you have to do to get to the next level, get to the next level. So here's my second point when I say when it's finished. So I said you I had 2 points. I didn't forget. I had 2 points. So the second point is, again, with regards to the Lord. God is able to restore. And sometimes we got to step back from a person, a situation, right? From a place, right? We got to step back and allow God to work. We've got to step back and get our hands off of it so that God can be glorified. I'll never forget when we read the word, and the Bible tells us that when Lazarus died and when the sister came to him and she was really upset, Jesus had to let her know it was for the benefit of those, watch this, that don't believe. See, everybody's not counting on you to get to the next level. Everybody's not rooting for you to get to the next level. Everybody's not looking for you to come out. Everybody's not looking at you to come out of that fire. They want you to smell like smoke. They want you to look raggedy. They want you to look depressed. They want you to look down. Don't you know that the enemy will have people set up in your camp? I'm telling you, he said, this is for the benefit of those that don't believe. So I had to let him die. I had to tie up that loose end. I know you wanted me here, but I needed this to happen so that God may be glorified. You need some things to happen in your life by way of tying up your loose ends so that God may be glorified. So if you got to step back from a person, step back, tie up your loose end. That's how you tighten up your loose end. They don't have to see you doing it. You don't have to get on the phone. You don't have to make no announcements. You don't have to go to social media. No, baby. Right there, right now, you can make a conscious decision that I'm tying up this loose end. I'm not going to wait till 2019 to be better. I'm not going to wait till January 1st to get my momentum. I'm going to be like David and I'm going to start running now. So by the time I get there, I've already got momentum working for me. And momentum is going to be my strength. You understand what I'm saying? It's going to be what I need it to be so that I can go ahead and win this battle. Don't wait. My God, don't wait. Don't wait. You can't afford to wait. Tie up your loose end now. Tie it up. I'm telling you, I'm giving you this word. And I promise you, I hear God saying, tell my people to tie up the loose end now. I've cut off branches that are not producing fruit. That's his word. I've cut off those branches that are not producing and I'm pruning them. And they want to hold on to your branches. You want to be faithful? Be as faithful as a tree with no leaves. That's how you ought to be faithful. Say, Lord, I'm out here and I'm looking bad. I don't have my covering and I'm by myself. But guess what? I'm going to stay faithful because it's your faithfulness that's going to move God. It's not about how you look. God is not concerned that you're out here looking because he's not going to cause you to be put to shame. But you have to first allow your faith to rise up. And when your faith rises up, it is that faith that causes heaven to move on your behalf. God says, I wait for heaven. I wait to hear from heaven. So it's your faith that causes heaven to move. And when heaven moves, God will move on your behalf. But it has to be something that rises up in you. And you have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. You can't let those ends, watch this. This is in the natural. If you don't cut those split ends, everybody knows. We see it. Ooh, we'll say it. She need to cut them split ends. That looks raggedy. I said it. I'm not afraid to say it. When a person doesn't cut those split ends and they're walking around here with those split ends showing, everybody sees it and says she needs to cut those split ends. We say it because it looks bad. It doesn't look good. Guess what? We understand the process. Cut it. It doesn't look good. It doesn't make you a better person to be walking around here with all these loose ends. This relationship and that relationship, you in between relationships, you and your wife been separated for 10 years, ain't decided if y'all going to get a divorce or not. Y'all got some loose ends. right? You sleeping on the couch, she's sleeping in the living room. That y'all got some loose ends. You need to tighten it up. Tie up your loose ends. When God says it's over, when he says it's finished, it is finished. Don't go back to it. Let it go. Don't take it into 2019. Don't wait. Don't stop giving people time. I'm going to give them until May of 2019, May 5th. Why? You're not even promised to see May 5th. And you want to look raggedy from now until May 5th? You comfortable looking raggedy from now until May 5th? You're comfortable having a loose end, having somebody try to make a decision on what they're going to do for you and about you until May 5th. And I'm just using that as a date, but that's what we do. That's not tying up a loose end. Take control of your life. Take control. Take control of what God is telling you to tie up. He's waiting for you to tie up the loose end. Take control of what you want for your purpose and your plan that God has destined for your life. If you own it, watch this. If you own it, I said this before. We talk about, and the mothers used to say it. If you take one step, God will take two. When you own it, guess what? God will give you victory in it. When you own it, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna be gone. Y'all, I could be here all day preaching. Listen, he says it in his word. The word says, it says, resist the devil, right? Resist the devil and he will flee. But the verse before that says, submit unto God and resist the devil and he will flee. So that's a prerequisite. It says, resist the devil and he will flee. But the verse before it says, submit unto God and he will flee. So the devil has not resisted or he has not fled because you have not submitted unto God. You submit unto God when you tie up your loose ends. When you know that what you are in is not right. When you know what you are in is not conducive to your growth. When you know that you are not walking according to the will of God. When you know that you are walking circumspectively with regards to his purpose and his plan. Guess what? When you know it and you still desire to do it, you are not submitting yourself unto God, and the enemy has no reason to flee. But when you submit to the will of God in your life, tie up your loose ends, then the enemy will flee. He has got to flee because that's the word. Listen, I love you. I got to get out of here, you guys. I got to get back to the South Side. My church, Restoration Tabernacle, we are in our Founders Week, and today is going to be a huge program. I love you all. Listen, this show today, December, listen, we got momentum. We have momentum. It's December. It's the last month of the year. And this show is dedicated to our brother, my brother. We call him Bulldog for Life, Bernard Baxter. We actually love you. Listen, Sister's Heart, this is what I often say when I started this 3 years ago. If I can just help one person, and Bernard is in a situation right now where he can't get out and get into the house of the Lord. So I'm so thankful for this platform. I'm so thankful to be able to help, if nobody else but him, because he wants to hear the word. He wants to be encouraged. And that's what Sister's Heart is about. Can I help somebody? We are the church. I am the church. And we have a mandate. All of us have a mandate on our lives to help somebody. And I thank God for that. So this whole month, my girlfriend, she didn't want me to say her name, but I'm going to say it because I love her and she has a heart of gold. Sister's Heart, you all know it's not free. It's a ministry. It's not free. I pay a small fee. It's a small fee for airtime. And I'm so thankful to be able to have the opportunity. And she told me when I seen her 2 weeks ago that she wanted to sponsor the month of December, and not for herself. She goes to church. She was on her way to church when I met up with her. She said, I want to sponsor it for Bernard, because I know that he watches. And I saw on Facebook, he chimed in. He's on Facebook. She said, I know that he watches you. I know that he catches this. And I want him to be able to have an opportunity to hear this word. So I want to pick up your airtime on his behalf, not on mine. Watch this. She said, not on mine. You guys, that's the love of God. That's ministry. I tell people I don't do this. I'm not trying to get paid to do this. But to have somebody say, I'm going to sponsor that month, I'm going to do it, and not for me, but for them. Tanetta, I love you for that. Tanetta Wilson, I love you for that, because people can say what they want to say, but God says you will know them. You will know them by the fruits that they bear. I'm telling you, you will know them by the fruits that they bear. You bear good fruit, my sister, and I love you for that. And all of you guys that chime in on Facebook, and you guys are just so supportive, and you pray. I ain't got no punks on my team here. I got prayers. I love you all, and I thank you all. So we are running. We're running into 2019. We got momentum. I love you guys. Bernard, I love you. Keep doing what you do. You stay blessed. You stay encouraged. You keep fighting. You're a bulldog for life. And guess what? Them bulldogs don't go down easy. So we love you all. Stay blessed. Until next week, I'm your host. I'm your girl, Kim. This is Sister's Heart, where we stream live on IntellectualRadio.com via iHeartRadio, as well as Facebook Live. You can always catch us through our archives. That's www.intellectualradio.com, as well as YouTube. That's my music. I gotta go. I gotta go. The show is over. I gotta go. I gotta go. The show is over. I love you much. I gotta go. I love you guys. Thanks for